band Suede, who have arrived on these shores with more press than anybody since the Smiths and the Sex Pistols, and we're actually on the cover of the Melody Maker magazine before you even had a record out. How's this press affected your guys' music making so far? Has this affected you in any way, shape, or form? More press than I've ever seen in my life, almost, for a new band.
Well, as I said in the take earlier, that we had to redo.
Right.
All our songs are about journalism these days.
Yeah. No, it's nothing to do with it, really. We don't really... I don't know how it happened. It wasn't a kind of... we didn't have a kind of, like, a huge plan or anything. We just wrote some songs and things, you know. It wasn't kind of strategized like many people think we've been. There was no Malcolm McLaren figure involved with us or anything like that. There was no kind of Svengali or whatever the word is.
Right.
You know, there was no sort of sugar daddy telling us what to do and telling us what shoes to wear and things. You know, we've just spent most of our lives in a rehearsal room in Hackney writing songs, and what's come out of it is some quite interesting songs, and people have just decided to write about it and to get excited about us.
Have you obliged them pretty well with doing most of what is required, doing most of the interviews, or have you found that to be a difficult task as it goes along?
I mean, in England we don't do any interviews anymore because it's just completely pointless, because people have read so much about us. They must be bored to death.
Do you worry about a backlash sometimes ensues after so much press happens? Are you worried about that?
I think kind of the term backlash is a bit misunderstood. People assume that the press have got this huge amount of power that they can decide when someone's going to be successful and when they're not. I think that's a complete load of rubbish. I think if you're any good and you make good records, then there's only a limited amount of things that a few people with pens can do to you, really. It's your fans that buy your records, and if you make good records, you know, that's it, really. So hopefully we make good records. Well, that's what we're concentrating on now. We're forgetting about all the kind of peripheral side of it, really. That's what we're obsessed with and what we've always been obsessed with.
Well, we'll be talking more with Bernard and Brett later on and checking out their video for Metal Mickey. Right here, the return of the legendary LA punk band X. Jesus is the first new studio album in 6 years from the band, and the lineup is the same as their last album, See How We Are, which came out way back in 1987. Tony Gillickson and original Xers, Exene Cervenka, John Doe, and DJ Bonebreak. And despite what a lot of people thought, the band never officially did break up.
Stopped playing for a while to do other things, and then we...
Bernard from Suede, and just had their debut album out, the most eagerly anticipated debut album since the Sex Pistols, some have called. Do you think it's live up to the expectations set for it? How do you view your album now that it's all said and done? It's a body of work. Unobjectively, of course.
What do you think?
I think it's rubbish.
Yeah, I think your bits are rubbish on it. I think I'm good on it.
No, I think your bits are rubbish.
No, I mean, you know, it's probably the record I listen to the most, really.
You listen to your own record?
Yeah.
How often would you say you listen to it?
Most
every
days.
day, probably.
Really?
Yeah, we love our records, we do. I mean, I can't, there's a sort of, can't understand this mentality of people that say, oh, I can't listen to my own record. This must be something lacking in it if you can't listen to it. I think the test of when you've kind of written a good song is that you just keep playing it over and over again, even if it's yours. It doesn't sicken you.
You have to try and detach yourself from it. That's the best bit about it. If you try and imagine that it's not your own record and you just listen to a great record, and then you can just sort of sit back and listen to it, and then it suddenly dawns on you that it's your record. That's a really nice feeling.
Wow.
But if it's a rubbish record, then you get stuck.
Yeah, you just get lost in it sometimes. I really like that. I mean, you know, there's just the occasional track that on our album that it kind of drags me in, like like a piece of theatre. You know, when you're watching a film with subtitles, and you suddenly realise that you're not conscious that there's subtitles, and it's kind of like that. It sort of takes you in, and you become part of it, like sort of being a member of a play or something. And that's a really nice feeling when you're not conscious of why it's good or anything like that, which is kind of pretty much the feeling you get from listening to anything good, I think. I mean, pleasure is all about achieving a state of unconsciousness to a certain extent.
We'll be talking more with Suede coming up right after the break, and right now a brand new video from John Rotten is now the ex-Public Image Limited frontman, and now bearing an uncanny resemblance to Bart Simpson. Brett was just remarking a little while ago. He's just split uphill and we began recording his solo album soon, and he's also written an autobiography which he claims is going to unveil the truth about all the lies and speculation about the life of the Sex Pistols, who everybody else has written about. Also coming up, we're going to play you the latest from Dramarama, and right here, as I mentioned earlier, this is Brett, that is Bernard from Suede. And were you guys influenced by the Sex Pistols at all? Were you around when that was all happening?
He hated them, I loved them.
How old are you guys?
You're 23.
I'm 23.
It's his birthday the other day. I'm 25.
So
I don't know, that was the first record I bought. It's Never Mind the Bollocks.
And what year did you buy that in? Were you part
I bought
of
it? No, I mean, I was a plastic punk, you know. I was one of these sort of sad cases that had the kind of grey stay-pressed trousers and school uniform, but sort of like claimed he was a punk. I had a red skiing jacket with a Nagasaki Nightmare patch on it. You know, I was one of those sort of people. But I bought it quite late, but it was one of the most thrilling records I'd ever heard in my life. It was incredible.
What about you, Bernard? What were the albums that you grew up listening to that inspired you as you made your way through adolescence?
Closer by Joy Division. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, just things like the Smiths, the Jam, who else? Blondie, Parallel Lines, things like that. But not punk. I never liked it at all.
The one thing you haven't mentioned, a lot of the glam is back. Is the thing that's I guess important to your music, and neither of you mentioned David Bowie. Is David Bowie any kind of role model or inspiration, or you're a fan of? Oh
yeah, we're massive fans of him. Yeah, but I mean, to put him down as sort of as being glam is a sort of horrific blinkering of his true talent, I think. Really.
Do you not like that word?
No, I hate that word. I think it's sort of it implies quite a kind of vacuous weightlessness. I think David Bowie had a lot more breadth than that. Part of his style was kind of caught up in that sort of early 70s thing, but I don't think we want to emulate that side of him at all.
What would you describe your band as?
Country punks.
There you go. More of our interview with Brett and Bernard of Suede is coming up later, along with a look at their video for Metal Mickey. Right now, an LA-based band called Tool. Their debut album features a guest appearance by none other than Henry Rollins, and Tool actually supported the Rollins band on their tour last year. They're going to be on Lollapalooza, as we mentioned, and this video features some great claymation. Check it out, from their debut album. This is Brett and Bernard from Suede, the singer and guitar writer, or guitar player, respectively. How did you guys hook up?
Pretty randomly, really. It was actually through an advert in a music paper, and we arranged to meet each other with carnations in our pocket, in our lapels, in a pub, didn't we?
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. He came to my flat with his guitar, and he was the first of about 6 million applicants to this little thing I put in the NME, and there didn't seem to be any reason to bother with anyone else.
When did you know, like, when was the moment you go, this is the guy that I'm going to be playing with, it's going to be in a band that I'm going to be in?
I don't know, straight away, I think, really.
Is there anything that he said in particular, just the way you got along?
He didn't actually say anything.
He was as skinny as me, and I was quite impressed by that, because I've never seen someone as skinny as me before.
And how did you get the other two members?
I've known Matt for a bit. I knew Matt before I knew Bernard from school and stuff. And Simon, just met in London, really, friend of a friend. All pretty uncinematic, you know, there was no recountable stories to tell about people being found up trees or anything like that.
Not like isn't there the Morrissey, Johnny Marr story when Johnny Marr actually sought out Morrissey and knocked on his door and said, please be in a band with me? Wasn't that how they...
So they say in the books.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a look at Metal Mickey, which is on the way in just a little bit, and also Dramarama's latest, coming up in just a few, or MTV's 120 Minutes. Suede, Brett, and Bernard, and I want to talk about your album cover. If we can flash that album cover right now for those of you who haven't seen it. Are we flashing it? Is it there? Is it there yet? Is it on the screen? Here it comes. There it is. Tell us about the album cover.
It's a picture of two women kissing. Pretty simply. It was just a beautiful picture that we really liked. All of the intellectualizing about what it means and stuff really came later. It was something that really glowed. It was like a kind of stained glass window or something. The original picture was completely different. It was actually a full picture of these two naked women kissing on this wheelchair, and it was incredibly kind of poetic in a really quite unusual way. We wanted to use that, but the photographer who took it thought it would be unsuitable, and so she said that we could use just the heads, so we did.
It's not actually been too controversial, as there's like a controversial nature to it, but not much has been really made about it, which is, I guess, a really good thing.
I mean, there's nothing controversial about it. Well, it's just pretty.
Yeah, it is pretty, but
I mean,
you know what I mean? I don't think you've been to America yet and been through certain parts of the country.
I know, we've been told, yeah. But we didn't choose it because we thought it would be dangerous or something. Yeah. We just chose it because it looked nice.
Something a lot more dangerous if we'd have turned our minds to it. I mean, there's nothing controversial about two women kissing, really, is there? It's like kind of saying it's controversial about someone eating an ice cream or something like that. Something that happens every day.
Well, I just can't wait for your tour across the United States as you get to some of the remote ends of the country, and you're
going to be laughing at us.
So speaking of which,
whereabouts?
Well, I don't want to say because I don't want to diss anybody, as you said earlier. So we'll let you find out.
It's not a very good, cool word anymore, is it?
Yeah.
Diss.
So you're going to be on tour in the United States so far. You've played like a week's worth of gigs. You've had, I guess, how have your gigs in England been? I've heard they've been pretty over the top. Of the zeal and just
hysterical
hysteria, yeah.
Historical hysteria. It's been pretty mad. We've got some insane and kind of ravenous fans over there, which is brilliant. But I mean, you know, we've encountered a few mad people in America as well that have been just as into us. You know, it's been good.
Last thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Metal Mickey. You already have 4 videos in the can, and this is the first one that we have, and it seems kind of old to you guys because it's been out for a long time.
I mean, this is actually the second video we ever made, so it's a bit, looking back on it, we kind of cringe a bit, and we do look like a load of old dogs in it.
And this was, what, a year ago?
Yeah.
Not even that.
Yeah, I think we were a load
We just got
dogs.
better at making videos. It's not the song or anything, it's just the video. Actually making a video is a bit difficult when you have to ask a musician to make a piece of film, which is what you have to do. It's a completely different world, and you have to learn it from scratch.
It's just like the way the videos are kind of just seem to be such an afterthought. You know, you spend ages making the song, and then you put 2 seconds making this video just to accompany it.
So should we
representation?
Should we caution people to close their eyes and listen to the song if they hadn't heard before, because this video is...
If they like, it's some good business, isn't it?
Okay, here it is. Thanks for coming by. Good luck on your US tour.
Cheers.
Brett, Bernard,
Thank you.
Be good. And here's Metal Mickey from Suede.